Hold on. Okay, now back to my big buildup. So I have to say, so many of you know this coach. She is from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. She's a 10-star diamond coach, 3-time elite coach. She's already qualified this year for elite, 73 months in Success Club. But most of all, she's delightful. Katy is somebody who every time I'm at an event and I get to see her, it just brings a smile to my face and warms my heart because she is just one of those special people. And I know that I know what she's going to be talking about. And this is going to be one of those calls where you're going to walk away with some great tips. So I'm going to just bring Katy on right now. Katy, there you are. How are you?
I'm so good. And I'll be honest with you, Michael, I feel right at home with this well-oiled machine. I will be totally honest with you. How are you?
I'm good. Well, you know what? You must be used to slightly less than well-oiled machines because that's what we are, but we're proud of it. We're proud of the fact that we stumble through and still excel. So
yes, just own it. We're just going to own it. It's totally fine.
So Katy, you have been a coach. How long have you been a coach now?
So I have been a coach for 6.5 years, Michael.
Oh my goodness. I would say I had hair back then, but I didn't. So I was just plain old me. But so tell us what brought you to becoming a Team Beachbody coach.
Yes. So I was the girl who actually purchased Insanity from an infomercial. My husband and I, this was around 2011. My husband and I we had taken on a mortgage. So one of the very first things that we cut was our gym membership. So I was looking for an at-home sort of workout that I could do on my own. And the first time I pushed play, and I know that many of you are probably going to be like, oh yeah, that was totally me too. When I pushed play that first time, I remember at the end of the workout, sitting on the ground going, what in the world just happened? And I was covered in sweat and I couldn't believe how difficult that workout was. And so I kept showing up with that workout and I kept doing it. And at the end of every workout, I have this very clear memory that there would be this commercial that was showing, and it was either for the coaching network or it was for the Coach Summit event or Shakeology. And while all of that was happening post-workout, as I was drenched in sweat and kind of recovering from what just happened, I was also seeing a girl that I knew from college talking about the same thing. So quietly, I was sort of connecting the dots between the at-home program that I was doing on my own and what she was sharing on her Facebook page. And I really, really have to share for a minute that I was never really formally invited to what she was doing, but I remember quietly connecting the dots between this at-home workout and this lifestyle that she was living. And I just very clearly remember she looked really happy and she looked to be enjoying the community that she was creating. And she really seemed to be loving what she was doing as a coach. And as somebody who was kind of tight on a budget, I was like, wait, what's going on with this? I can create an income with this. And I remember on one occasion, I messaged my coach and I said, you know, I finished this Insanity program. You know, am I like a coach? Like, is that what I do? And I'm sure at the time she probably laughed and gave it a heck yes. But looking back, I truly did think that was just the next step. So, Michael, if you want me to, I can kind of go into like the transition from when my business kind of shifted a little bit.
Absolutely. I think that'd be perfect. Just keep going.
Cool. All right. So I really became a coach and a challenger at the same time. So I was experiencing a challenge group for the first time when I was actually a coach. And I would say for the first 1.5 years of my business, I was doing what I call the business hokey pokey. You know, I was kind of dabbling a little bit. I was hitting Success Club, but I really wasn't doing much else with it. And so my income was kind of up and down. It wasn't really doing much with it. So my business at the time was more of a reflection of where I was comfortable, but it definitely wasn't a reflection of what I was capable of. And that was until about 2014. And in the winter of 2014, I, with the blessing of my husband, really wanted to extend a maternity leave. I had just given birth to my second son, baby D, and I really wanted to take in a little bit extra time. So we knew that if I just continued to give that effort into my Beachbody business, we would be able to manage and we would be able to offset that cost of not having my own healthcare benefits with the school and not having the salary that I was making as a teacher. But I had this side income with Beachbody. And in that time, 10 days after I actually was on my maternity leave, I was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma. And if you're not sure what that is, it is actually cancer. And so there I was with a 4-year-old and a 4-month-old, and we had just lost the healthcare benefits with my school district, and I had lost the security of my salary, and I had Beachbody. And I remember this conversation with my husband and really thinking about the fact that, you know, how are we going to do this? How are we going to like actually work this business when I didn't even know if I had my health? And I realized that when you're diagnosed, when I was diagnosed with cancer, there's 2 things you realize that you have as a gift that we most often treat as a guarantee. And that is the gift of time and the gift of health. And when I realized that I had those 2 things as a gift and not a given, I understood that the values of Beachbody, our core mission, was to help people achieve a healthy and fulfilling life. And all of a sudden, this side gig that I had, this, just want to lose a couple pounds and drink this shake that I had been treating as sort of a, if I feel like it, if I feel like putting one foot in and doing that hokey pokey, all of a sudden it wasn't that. All of a sudden this became an obligation to pay forward to other people. So I decided I had a choice. I had a choice, and no one would have questioned me if I decided that I couldn't put effort into being a coach, but I decided that I was going to show up as consistently as possible for my business. I was going to show up as authentically as I could. And without highlighting the products so much as of what Beachbody has to offer, I was going to talk about how the products and what Beachbody was doing for me in my life, I was going to show it through the story I was telling. So today, I have the honor of sharing with the network a little bit about how that works. Sound good, Michael?
You're good, but I was just going to say, in listening to you, and you get me every time, that, you know, this is sort of the season of gift giving. And I think that what you just said, those gifts of time and health, it's something that we're really lucky here at Beachbody that we get that chance to provide that to people. And in this time of gift giving, I really do think that that's what coaches should think about in terms of every time they're making a connection to connecting somebody to those solutions. They are giving those gifts of that opportunity for time and good health, and that's really powerful. And so thank you for that. But let me also say that part of the connection is one of our vital behaviors, and that's about inviting. And I know for a lot of people, that is something that they struggle with, how people interpret it differently, and they really struggle. So you are going to give us some great tips. So why don't you just jump right in and give us some of those tips on inviting.
Yeah, and so I sometimes have to take a deep breath because even though it's my story and I own it, I sometimes forget that I walked through that. And it was a very difficult time in my life. But I'm so grateful that I had the community in Beachbody because I sometimes don't know where I would be without it. But with that being said, I noted that I shifted from showing up for me as this is something that Beachbody can do for me into how Beachbody was impacting my life in such a way that I felt like I was kind of being a jerk if I wasn't sharing it. So I was having this conversation. I'm really going to get into this call. I was having this conversation with one of my coaches, and she said to me, she was really struggling with the whole invite process. And she said, Katy, but I think you're forgetting that inviting is kind of easier for you because you have a story. And it was in that moment when she said that, I noticed the disconnect. Well, yes, I did battle cancer then and now. It wasn't that the connection was necessarily because I had cancer, but it was because I was showing up, the story that I was telling, and the community that I was creating, as well as how I was approaching that struggle and how these products were impacting my life through all of that. So some of the most common questions my coaches have, and I don't know if you're on right now, but if you want to drop an emoji, if this is you too, but the questions that I often get are, but who do I invite? And, how do I not come off as salesy? Or Katy, like, how do I gain more followers? Or how can I start being seen more? Questions that we've asked, totally common questions. But I want to stress something really important right now. It does not matter how many likes you get, how many comments you get, if you are not connecting with the people who are liking and commenting. The goal is to create content that actually feels inviting. I see the word invite not as just one simple act, but the emotion that we get to create in our feeds. I want people to feel invited, so I'm not just crossing my fingers hoping that some stranger that I reach out to is going to say yes. So my goal today is to share how I create captions, meaning the first couple words that I do in a post to connect, to engage, and then eventually lead to the conversion. In other words, that lead to sales. All right, so we ready to do this, guys? We're gonna go with 3 steps. So step number 1, your content, it has to connect. People are naturally looking for other people to connect with. So the first question I actually encourage my team to ask is, am I showing up for others, or am I simply showing up to check something off the box? Creating captions should include the audience shift from you to them. So for example, Transform 20, let's talk about that for a minute. When that beautiful box arrived on your doorstep and you were waiting so impatiently for the Postal Service to finally deliver it, did the message you deliver with that caption, those first few words you said, did it say, look at me with my new step? Or did it say, look at what can be? When we want to take the content of our post and convert the audience from saying, way to go, champ, into, okay, maybe I can do this too. Our goal is to inspire other people to do what we do rather than just like what we do. All right, so I'm gonna give you a couple of scenarios, and you might be thinking about some of the posts that you've done and asking yourself the question, am I connecting with my audience right away? So let's kind of go through this. Do you feel the difference between saying something like, got my Transform 20, can't wait to step up my fitness, and you aren't going to believe this, I was given access to provide 20 people to test out this new workout. Totally free, no strings attached, just a simple request to provide feedback. You in? Totally different feel from look at me to look at what can be. Do you feel the difference if I would do a post that started with the caption, boom, highest paycheck ever, versus raise your hand if you love telling your husband, I told you so. A good caption might read, shout out to my challenger who lost 40 pounds. But what if you can actually include and connect your audience by saying something like, hey, can you guys help me? My girl, Sarah Beth, just lost 40 pounds over the past 6 months with a 30-minute at-home fitness program. And I really think that she should enter to win a cash prize offered through our company. What do you think should she enter? Now, I also want to share with you one of the books that helped me kind of shift my focus from look at me into look at what can be is a book by Donald Miller called Building a Story Brand. And I love that Donald Miller really puts emphasis on the idea of you are the guide, not the hero. So you want to be a Yoda, not a Luke Skywalker, because everyone wants to be the hero of their own story. You are showing people what is possible. All right, so let's go to number 2, and this is my absolute favorite. Your captions, and this is the little tiniest tweak that we can make with our posts. We are actually vying for the attention of an audience that has the attention span of a goldfish. Think about it. When you're scrolling the feed, how fast does your thumb move? Do you even think twice about the things that you are seeing? What is it that gets you to actually pause? So I have found when I started shifting my call to action from the very bottom of my post into the very first thing that I post, I started to notice my audience was engaging. Why? Because I gave them something to pause on. I gave them an opportunity to engage before they made a move with their thumb. Engagement, too, is about showing people a possible solution, and that since they are interacting with you, you get to dive a little deeper and show them that you're there to engage back with them. If someone is showing up, I need them to know that I'm actually here to show them the way. So engagement also means that we can't just post and say, sayonara, I will see you later. When you show up as an inviting person, an engaging person on your grid or in your stories or in your timeline, it creates this common ground for you to connect with them. And to be honest with you, it actually gets them excited for when that conversation and that formal invitation is going to happen. So here's what I do. I like to ask myself a couple of general questions before I actually post anything. Number 1, I ask myself, Katy, what kind of reaction am I going for? Am I wanting somebody to act, meaning do something with the post immediately? Meaning, do I want them to drop an emoji? Do I want them to help me with something? Do I want them to comment? Do I want them to give me feedback? Am I looking for them to give me advice of some sort? So we're actually engaging and interacting in the post. Or am I asking them to think about something? And I really, really want to emphasize this idea of thinking, because thinking is where you are able to actually create almost like a secret comeback weapon of sorts. When you're giving someone a call to think, it means you're asking them to kind of sit with your post for a little while so that they can reflect on how your post applies to their life. And guess what? When you get someone to actually pause in this busiest season or just in general, you are doing an amazing job of already coaching someone well before they become a client. The other thing that I do is I say, Katy, are you posting like you speak? If you read the post out loud to yourself, if you read out loud to yourself something you posted, or better yet, you ask your best friend to give you some feedback on something that you have posted, they're going to be honest with you and say, this totally sounds like you, or this sounds nothing like you. For example, in my captions right away, you will often see me use the words dude, or like legit, or do you boo? And I also have a really strong habit of using the phrase yins guys. It's the yinzer in me. I totally get it. The last question I ask myself is, does the image I put out actually match the content that I put out? So if in my caption I'm talking about life as a boy mom, or something about my husband, or having no understanding of anything fashion whatsoever, does the image I put out actually reflect that? So I want to give you guys a couple of nuggets, that little like hacks that I have used really when I'm thinking about engagement. So number one, I use what's called the Plan app, and I don't know if you can see it, but the Plan app is awesome. And what the Plan app actually does is it's a free app that you can use, and it allows me to plan out my grid, and it allows me to see what it's going to look like when it's planned out, but it also allows me to create my content right in there. And the other thing that it does is it helps me go and see what is working really well. I can see how well posts are doing in one area. And then I can see what people are responding to, what's going well, what captions I have used that really engage my audience so that I can duplicate that. And I have got to give a huge shout out to a national wake-up call that I listened to last year by Ashley Laughlin. Don't remember the title of the national wake-up call, but I do remember her talking about how to really captivate with an entire post, and also how to refurbish content that you're putting out there so that you can come back and use that same idea and concept because you already know it's tried and true and it works with your audience. And also too, I actually create a caption cheat sheet. So this is my book, and I write in here just captions that I know are working really, really well so that I don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I write down the things that work, and then I come back to them later. Also, if you feel like you're not getting engagement, or you're like, this is great, Katie, but I'm not actually engaging with anyone, hold up. Let's pull in Alana for a second. Let's pull a major 2B move right now and not get mad and not get frustrated, but let's totally get curious about why it's working or what's not working. Would it work if you took that call to action that you put at the bottom of a post and flipped it to the beginning? Would it work if you switched around your wording a little bit? Are you really showing people the way, or are you showing up for you? Don't get mad if your content's not working or if it's not engaging. Get curious and figure out why. All right, step 3, and this is what it's all about. This is really what we are going for. Your captions are really what move the needle towards conversion. And conversion is when we are closing on a sale or we're signing up that coach. But conversion is simplified when we have a common ground. You know, it's exciting when somebody hears from the girl they've been engaging with, or they've been commenting with, or they've been liking on their stuff, who is personally actually going out of her way to invite someone to a challenge group or to coaching. And isn't that the ultimate goal? A successful post is not determined by a set number of likes or a set number of comments. It's actually a post that sets up an opportunity to have a conversation with someone. So let's break this down. This is how I'm going to do this. If somebody likes something, if somebody comments on something, if somebody engages with me in something, I call this eye contact. It's like, I see you, boo. I got you. And just like you're in the grocery store and you see another mom and her kids are in the cart and they're just losing their minds, and you look at that mom and you're like, I got you. I understand what you're going through. It's the same idea. So my girl Taylor came up with this concept of it's like eye contact. If somebody likes, if somebody comments, they're actually giving you the go-ahead to start a conversation with them for the next opportunity. So you're not going in blind or crossing your fingers, inviting a stranger. You're inviting someone you're already in contact with. All right. So number 2, before I engage in a conversation with them, I actually check them out. I see what their like is like. I go to their grid or to their Facebook page and I see what's the common ground. And if they're liking and commenting on something that I'm putting out, we probably have a common ground of some sort. Now, I'm not able to get into that much about inviting, but I'm going to give you a little bit of what was I going to say? A call, a really big tip for you. If you're looking for a great call on how to get more comfortable with the whole invite process, go to Meg Kozlowski's call she did about peanut butter and jelly. Absolutely love that call. It is so good because it takes the discomfort of inviting out and the awkwardness of it and really sets you up to win in your conversations. So I'm just going to give you one example of an invite that I would send out. Do you remember me talking about my girl, Sarah Beth, who lost 40 pounds? If somebody would like or comment on that great transformation post that I did, I would send them something like this. Hey, girl, thank you so much for the love on the post I did about my girl, Sarah Beth. I am legit the proudest coach ever. Gosh, she has come so far in her journey, but seriously, I have to tell you, I feel like I would be a jerk if I didn't share that these groups are actually something I run monthly. And I just wanted to reach out to see if you wanted the details on this, or if you were just being an awesome person and letting her know that you were supporting her. Either way, no big deal. Shoot me an email whenever you get a free minute. So those conversations that you have, they are a must for conversion. But it is so much easier to have a conversation with someone when you know you are standing on common ground. When I include someone from the first line of my post, from the get-go, from the caption, when I really focus on showing up for them, I plant the seed of wait, maybe I can too, instead of way to go, champ. All right, Michael, that is my 3 steps.
Dude, that was legit.
Too legit to quit, right?
Too legit to quit. That was awesome.
Good.
So, wow, Katy, like that was just packed with great stuff. So, you know, you did mention, I wanted to a couple things. One, for people that might be listening on the podcast and can't see the comments, you mentioned the app Plan. That's
I did.
LANN, 2 N. So
yes, it is free, or you can do the paid for service. I have found I haven't needed the paid for service, but I really like that it gives you insight into your own results with your Instagram account. So you can really see what your audience is liking and also what times your audience is engaging with you.
Awesome. And then the other thing that you mentioned were some throwbacks to 2 awesome national wake-up calls, one by Ashley, one by Meg. And I want people to know that if they want to go back and look for those, they're on iTunes, so they can go back through the podcast and listen to those, and also in the office. But man, this was just such a great call. Everyone on the call is responding online so positively, so fantastic takeaways, and just that is just so great. So, but Katy, before you go,
Okay.
if I can just ask you, you know, you've been a coach 6.5 years now, is that right?
Yeah.
6.5 years. So just tell me, how has being a Beachbody coach changed your life?
I always tell, when I was getting ready for this national wake-up call, I said I'm really struggling to actually find the words for the gratitude that I feel for the company and just everything that I have been provided. And what I'm really proud of is that I feel like we are part of a company that sometimes this work is not easy. It is not easy. And in fact, sometimes it's downright hard. And I think sometimes that the reason what we do is so hard is because if we're doing it right, it takes a lot of heart. And I love that this builds character. I love that I feel like I am a better mom, I am a better wife, I am a better coach because of this opportunity. And I love that I get to share with my kids that you want to do something in your life, not because it's easy, not because you're going to make quick money or it's going to, you know, it's not going to challenge you. I want my kids to know happy the hard way. And I feel like Beachbody provides that. And anytime I feel myself having just a little bit of a struggle with my business or just getting objections or feeling like I'm just not enough or that I don't matter. If I ever find myself saying like, does it matter? Like, you know, does this matter? Am I making an impact? I go back to just this page in my journal. And this is just my journal. And, everything on this page is all of the blessings that I've personally experienced because somebody said, you can do this, Katy. And I want you to know I'm rooting for you. I'm genuinely rooting for you to make an impact, because there is nothing more important than the gift of time and health. And we can give that. We can pay that forward to people if we do it together.
Oh, you know, I started this introduction of you by saying that you're delightful. And I think everybody on this call will absolutely agree. Delightful and insightful. Anyway, Katy, thank you so much for sharing your time with us this morning. I know it's going to be so meaningful for so many people listening to this call. You are awesome. And I can't wait until I get to see you in person again. Actually, I think I may be coming to Pittsburgh for a super weekend. So I might be able to see you.
Well, I'll be there. So I will see you then.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Katy. And I am going to make a little awkward transition as I bring Sandy back into her chair. And thank you guys for having me on the National Wake Up Call as well. Here you go, Sandy.
Thank you, guys.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Katy. I'm gonna say goodbye to you, and we'll was in the Super Saturday. Oh, I'm back. I did your video, and Katy, I remember that day. We talked about it this morning when I was driving into the office, and it was the most amazing story of resilience and courage. And, you know, I started this call talking about my year, and, you know, resilience is a word that just keeps coming up with coaches. How resilient you all are in what you do and what you overcome and how you brave the day. So I just wanted to say that as some words. And I also got new affirmation cards for my wake-up call. So this one says, strive for progress, not perfection. And I say that because that is what you all do every day. You improve every single day. You be better, you know, do better, be better, and strive not to be perfect, but just strive for progress. So with that, I want to thank Michael for stepping in today, and Katy and Darren. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next week. All right, bye-bye.